Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Happy Monday. I hope that everybody had a wonderful weekend, or if you're watching this at a different point, um, I hope you're having a good day. Today, we're going to be mostly playing actual Ultimate Skyrim, or at least that's my intention. I planned on doing a fair shake of gameplay in this one, but it seems as though inevitably we the heavy Q&A starts towards the end of these streams. Hello, Shadow Shane. How you doing? Donju, thank you for joining me. Hope you guys are doing well. Last we left off, so one thing I actually did want to do here, I noticed this in a previous stream, is that the gameplay volume is a little bit quiet, and I think that's because Skyrim runs a little bit quiet anyway. So I'm going to up the volume there just a teensy bit, just to see what's up. Oh, Zarnel, how you doing? Wow, it's weird. I don't know why you showed up on my stream chat, but not on my dashboard. Oh, Twitch, how I don't understand a million things that you do. I think Twitch is really cool, though. I don't do a lot of it, but I think streaming is so interesting as a concept. Hey, Fiodik, how you doing? What an interesting thing it is that's spawned in the past however many years. Only a couple, really. I guess the key limitation there has always been people's internet speeds and stuff. Hey, K-Buck, thanks for joining us. Okay, so it's been a while since I was actually playing on our boy Zeltier here, our little testing character. I have used him for so many different things at this point. He's my go-to testing guy. I have a version of him. It has all the different crafting perks. I use that one a lot, actually, to test recipe changes and such. And I use him to pop around. He's kind of just my go-to. In fact, let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to create a new save. I'm also going to up my own personal volume here, just because I want to be able to hear stuff, too. Tyler, what is that, my friend? For anyone who doesn't know, that is the Tyler, the one that I often mention in so many things that I do. Oh, wait, I got something to show. So, Tyler and I have recently decided to... I'd say that both of us don't have a ton of time to sink into real deep RPG experiences, right? But what we wanted to do is reacclimate ourselves to old school RuneScape, which from what I understand is having a quite the renaissance right now. So we made our characters yesterday. We met up at a coffee shop and did the tutorial island. Here's our guys. Let's see. It might be mirrored. You can see. This is our mans. I'm Taintacles and he's Taintrius, and we are the Grundle brothers. Quality meme. Thank you for joining us. Hi, BB in chat. I'm finally catching one of these live for a change. I'm sorry if you haven't been able to catch them. I've been trying to find a time that works for everyone. I know that Monday mornings are not fantastic for that because people not only have jobs 9 to 5, of course, but also time zones are difficult when it comes to other places in the world besides America. Oh shit, the Fallout 76 NDA lifted today, so some videos from an event are coming out now. Oh my gosh, I am pretty excited to look at that. Honestly, I hadn't looked at the gameplay that's available until fairly recently, within the last 2 weeks. It looks very intriguing to me. I seriously doubt if it would be something that I would play extensively, but it's always interesting to me. I've said this in previous streams. It's always interesting to see what Bethesda is doing, just to kind of get a sense of where they're at developmentally and what they consider important and what sort of gameplay experiences they're trying to provide. I think there's a lot of parallels between Fallout 76 and things that I would be interested in, like the Anywhere crafting system, for example. Tyler says, two brothers on an adventure of a lifetime. It really feels like that to me. Tyler, I'm telling you, if you get 10 minutes, watch that video that I linked you, and if I think that it'll get you stoked by a degree of 10 at least. Fiodik, BB, if you remember our last discussion regarding no speech XP when selling staffs, it was eventually confirmed as a vanilla Requiem bug. How about that? Very interesting, Fiodik. Well, thanks for the report. I'm sure, well, I was going to say that I'm sure that the Requiem team appreciates it too. Bug reports are kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like that. When I receive them, it is nice because it gives you an opportunity to tighten the experience, of course. But also, if you're feeling particularly swamped at the time that you receive the bug report, it's like, another thing that I got to fix or do. But it depends. For Fonte, hello, thanks for joining us. Okay. Let's take stock of our inventory here. That's what I started to do, and I got sidetracked, as I am wont to do. Quality meme, did someone say bug reports? Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's, Connor. I completely forgot. You told me earlier today that your name on here was Quality Meme 123. So Connor has done us a real service here and put together... Connor, if you don't mind me mentioning... he works in QA in the actual games industry, and he has put together a form and kind of a framework for bug reports that we would like to implement, if not for 4.0, then very shortly thereafter. What Liz and I are actually trying to do is, this would be kind of a combo effort between Tyler, Liz, and I. I'm not 100% sure it'll be possible. Liz and I are trying to migrate the project management to Jira, and hopefully as Tyler and I build out the website, it will be possible to directly integrate the bug submission form that Connor has created in such a fashion so that bugs that are submitted through that form will be directly integrated into Jira as tickets, which would just be fantastic. It would definitely be a far superior system to what we have now, which is essentially people in the beta channel going, hey, this happened. And typically, I don't expect any different, because when you're reporting a bug and you're a player, you just, you report what happens to you. But a sufficient bug report contains a lot of information, because there's a lot of information necessary to determine whether or not something is actually a bug versus just some sort of game mechanic that the user is not aware of, or some sort of problem that results from their installation specifically. There's a lot of information that you need in order to determine that it's actually something that needs to be fixed. And most people don't. You don't know what you don't know. They can't be faulted for not providing it typically, unless they've done bug testing before. So we got all kinds of stuff here. Collect petty soul gems, gather iron ore. So this is what we're here to do, essentially, is gather iron ore. So we will focus on that. We got a lot of cool gems. We got a lot of things that we can sell here. I don't really need all these empty bottles, and these ones are heavy. So fuck that noise. I am curious. I believe this is the one that I've set to spawn in the player's inventory whenever you use a bottle. I really only need the one. Yeah, so everyone, big round of applause for Connor for putting that together for us, because that's really going to be a big help, I think, in improving... Leaf blowers. Apologies if that comes through on the microphone. Morning coffee. Apologies if that comes through on the microphone as well. Sort of disgusting drinking sounds. Reminds me of that... bit with Anthony Bourdain where he had, it's like a pho dish in Vietnam. He like secretly met up with President Obama, and they had this like pho dish in Vietnam. I think it was Vietnam anyway. That's just so cute, because Anthony Bourdain's like slurping up his soup, and Obama's kind of looking at him like, it can't, is that like what's the typical way that we're supposed to eat this here? Anthony Bourdain's like, actually, in this area of the world, culturally, it's very accepted to like slurp your food. When I heard that, I was like, I want to go there, because I inadvertently slurp all my food, and it's so disgusting, I'm sure, for everybody around me. You know what I really need here? This is another planned implementation, is more hotkeys that allows you to map a hotkey to use the weakest potion in your inventory of a certain category. That seems so useful. I am pretty stoked on that. Alright, so we'll get all that favorited. I suppose right now, we finished up this dungeon at the very end of the last stream, and there's probably more in here. So I'm going to take my time and actually kind of go through and see what I can find here. Now, it might be worth it. How much carry space do we have? Not a lot. And we're probably honestly going to have to drop some stuff in order to carry those iron ores back. That'll be a good chance to benchmark how much we're going to get from that, too, because I need to start thinking about tweaking the rewards for the missives quests, because that will be an important early game activity. Excuse me, I think, and we got to make sure it's worth it for people. Give me that coin purse. There's some stuff down in here I might have gone through already. I can't remember. Got a chest. I did. I already cleared this one. Wait. I didn't. It's locked. Oh, that is so loud. Well, I'm not going to bother to open it then, I suppose. Although I did get this spell book, right? Or did I already use it? So yeah, Spell Tome Lesser Knock. And I am an Alteration Mage, so it might be good just for the practice. Let's go ahead and see. Let me go Lesser Knock. And probably Mage Armor on self too. Transmute Muscles. Reinforces the caster's muscle tissue. Fortifying unarmed damage, health, and carrying capacity by 30 points. Oh, that's actually wonderful. Fuck, though. Ooh, I don't even think we have enough magicka to cast it. Let's see. Kate Buck, your game is so smooth and I'm so jelly. Well, Kate, not to, oversell, but your game could be just as smooth when you install Ultimate Skyrim 4.0 when it drops. BB, how far from Beta 5 are we currently? Have you made some progress with blueprints and other BCO stuff? So, Fiotic, I have been working almost singularly on the crafting overhaul. That's just been all of my time for the past few weeks. It has turned into such a large task because over the course of the first part, quote unquote, where I'm assigning proper crafting stations for the different recipes, there have been so many changes that this is why all the latest dev updates have been filled with small tasks like creating alternate recipes for breakdowns, or like overhauling how the breakdowns work, changing the ingredient requirements. So as I'm going through it, there's just all these things that I'm seeing as incongruous with the other changes that I'm making or want to make, so I end up just changing them there. And so that first part, quote unquote, has been stretched to be much larger. With the blueprints and the recipes, that is actually not as difficult. And I've kind of started with like the framework of it, but I'm actually considering taking the recipe system, the recipe and blueprint system, and pushing that back to the next update after 4.0 launches, just because it's a very nice mechanic to have, and I think it's going to be really fun, and it's going to add a lot of value to what's going on. But it is not, I'm going to pause this, it's not a core functionality feature. The game still works fine, the recipes still work fine without it, and I'm not sure if it'll fit the timeline, especially if I'm trying to hit that Christmas release window, which is a stretch goal right now. But basically I'll have to choose very carefully what's going to make it into 4.0. And I guess to answer your original question, that first part of the crafting overhaul is pretty close to being complete. It's just a question of what other changes am I going to make as I finish it. Like, I'll give you a good example. I was moving through recipes in KFR the other day, and I noticed that the recipes and the weapons from faction crossbows need some specific attention in terms of balancing and in terms of bringing their recipes in line with the other recipes as I've been editing them. I put that task on my list because I didn't want to become sidetracked. I'm trying to get better about not stopping in the middle of one task to do another one, because I think it's an inefficient way of working. But that is something that I would consider pretty important because it's an incongruity, and those really bother me. And I think that they significantly detract from the consistent experience that I'm aiming for. And that's just something that it's like, well, it's hard to know exactly what's going to crop up and require doing, I guess is my point. So I hesitate to give you a specific timeline on how far from Beta 5, but when the BCO stuff is done, that's kind of like the tail end on all the new work. Then all that needs to happen before Beta 5 can come out is the bug fixing and general polish tweaks that need to go into the final product, so to speak, or the final version of 4.0, just to once again iron out all those incongruities, because that's a big problem for me, and I think a big problem for the experience at large. Things like having the crafting requires permission mechanics not be so weird and wonky. There's all kinds of instances where you'll pay to use a crafting station, and someone will come and you'll go and use the crafting station, and someone will still get upset at you because they're technically in the same faction that takes ownership of those. So even though you paid their friend or whatever, they're now coming to you asking for a second payment. Those kinds of things I just cannot permit to be in the experience at large. So I don't know. When I have more concrete information for you on the exact release date of Beta 5, you guys will be the first to know about it. Ferfante says, around what point should you start to take on bandit camps? That is a good question, Ferfante. It really depends on your skill, like as a player, and also your build. It also depends, honestly, on the bandit camp itself, how it's laid out. With this character is what, level 5, I think? Let's get out of here. This character's level 6 now, but I'm just leveling up, so it was level 5 when he took down the bandit camp. I did die a couple times, too, which is an important consideration. But this level 5 character, who only has a couple points in, what is it, marksman and even smithing over here? No, that can't be right. Enchanting, maybe? I can't remember. Let's see. I'm going to put a point in Magicka against my better judgment. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep doing health, because we can supplement our Magicka later with items. As a light armor character, especially a light armor character in general, I have the alteration, which helps. Oh, why did that appear as smithing a second ago? Oh, it's because it's here. I understand. The mage armor is going to help, but arrows and really just anything that's trying to kill us is going to be a major problem, so those points in health are going to be important. But anyway, this character took down Halted Stream Camp at level 5, which was not inconceivable. It's very possible. You just have to be smart. We took down the camp by night, which gave us some advantage when it came to sneaking. It allowed us to play with the enemies who were outdoors and kind of mess with their awareness of our location, and allowed us to continue getting off pot shots. It was also wide open ground, which allowed us to flee from enemies, which is not an option that you'll have in other areas, especially if you're indoors. So there's really no flat answer to what level you should be to take on bandit camps. If you want to do it fairly safely, and you're not a particularly skilled player, probably level 10 is a safe bet, because it's still not going to be easy, but you'll have enough skills and stat increases by that point to give you a little bit of breathing room. You'll also hopefully have a little bit more gear and more supplies that will help you out, even more gold that'll allow you to purchase supplies. But really, you can start taking down bandit camps, at least as of right now in Ultimate Skyrim 4.0. You can take them on at level 1 if you use your perks right and if you're a power player. It's just a question of being skilled, having the right build, and being smart. I guess you could kind of lump that in with being skilled. You have to use terrain efficiently. You have to plan ahead. You have to recognize what sort of enemies are where, what they're wearing, what you expect them to do once combat starts. If you're aware of all that stuff, the level threshold for being able to successfully take down a bandit camp decreases significantly. Okay. Improved mage armor. Okay, so this is honestly, I'm going with that bad boy. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that we're going to be able to... What time is it? Can't tell there. Well, I need to eat some food anyway. Ale braised saber cat. I want to hold on to that. We got bottled water. Take some of you. I got a cooked venison steak. Delicious. Green apple. Sure, that'll probably get me. Nice. You sense yourself more aware, more open to new ideas. You've learned a lot about Skyrim. It's hard to believe how ignorant you were, but now you have so much more to learn. So those are interesting to me. Those little pop-ups, they're ripped straight from Morrowind. I believe the mod is called Reflection, and I can't remember who did it. Maybe Isoku or Chesko even. But I think it's a really cute little mod that adds in those little dialogue boxes for internal reflection on certain level ups. And I can imagine that some people might find them intrusive. I personally find them very cool. Whoa, hold on a second. Will this show me what my time scale? It's 10, really? And it's 3:27 p.m. Jesus. Well, I guess let's go ahead and get that stuff. Get that iron ore. This looks like... Oh, no, that's iron. Alright, well... did we already trigger this trap? I can't remember. I'm gonna... Oh my god, it's behind me. That is so fucking annoying. Well, you can chalk that up with the dumbest things I've ever done. Honestly, it's probably better because it gives us a chance to not waste so much time. That's why we're making saves on these beta characters. God, what a ridiculous fucking maneuver that was. I forgot it swings down from behind me. It does. Well, it shows you how dangerous traps are. Especially if you're a fucking numpty. What did we do? We went and grabbed this coin right here. And we leveled up. And we really didn't do that much over that, what is it, 23 minutes that I've been streaming already. I'm going to eat this and that. Get my bottled water again. And we dropped some stuff. That was important. This and that. And this and that. I hope that it's not giving me that heavy bottle. I'm going to change the values of those anyway. I got some iron ore. We have 3 already. And note the Khajiit caravan. This one might actually be getting the axe along with Imperial Mail, which would be a... We might not need the tent. It's really heavy. We might have to get rid of that, honestly. We can always get another one. And we have a bunch of stuff here that we don't really need. The heavy hunting bow. This is tricky. This is a tricky choice because the elven bow is weaker technically than the heavy hunting bow, but it's also faster because it's a light bow. And honestly, speed is the name of the game right now, so I think I'm going to drop this bad boy. Got elven longsword, silver staff of fireballs, the steel spell sword of oak flesh. See, this is really cool. I don't want to get rid of this because it's going to be affected by that mage armor perk that we have. But this Nordic sword is like fantastic. So really the elven longsword is what should get the axe. Is the elven longsword worth more, huh? Oh, because this one's so heavy, maybe? Can't remember, honestly. It's really not that much better either. Looks cool, though. Maybe because the other one's a longsword. Well, we can drop that. And let's favorite this bad boy. And you, and you. And... these I did. Okay, so I did a fair amount of stuff here. I'm not going to use skooma. Not my style. Potion of ably defending, sure, why not? Ice spike, these are all nice to have. I'm good there. Learn that spell. And how am I doing? 96. I should be able to carry. Thank you, Freddy, for the follow. Make a new save just in case I fucking walk right into a trap again. That's 2:18 p.m. We're all good, and now I say we just collect some iron ore and get on our way and figure out what our next task will be. I need a pickaxe, or do I have one? I don't think I do. I need a pickaxe for that. If I could just find some ore kind of laid out, that would be nice. Ooh, burned book. I was thinking we might have gotten one of the craftsman manuals, but guess not. An introduction to scale armors. That's pretty good. It's worth it, even if we were just going to sell it, that's worth it. Coin purse and some septims and some potions. Honestly, we can use all of these bad boys. That one we can just sell. Let me see here. One of these guys has to have a pickaxe. There's so many ore veins. I know that there's one up here. Or I'm fairly confident anyway. We are in a mine after all. There's a bear trap. Don't want to accidentally touch that. What do we have here? To follow up, Feodic, the whole system with the recipes. There we go. I don't know. I think it's not inconceivable that I'll be able to fit that in there as well before 4.0 officially launches. What makes it tricky is that it has to be expanded to so many different things. That includes cooking recipes, it includes armor weapon recipes, gear recipes, furniture recipes is another big one that there's going to be a lot of. The act of creating the recipes for the items is not hard. So for most of those, it's fine. But in the case of some of the armors and like weapons and stuff, that is also going to come with a slight that we're implementing a system, or I plan to implement that system that adds unique effects to a lot of the gear that you can craft through recipes and blueprints, just to make it even more worth it and to make it more exciting to craft those things. And that is a little bit trickier, or can be. Connor says, does spell sword allow for multiple spells to be applied to a weapon that can trigger under different conditions, such as blocking, power attack? It does allow for 2 spells to be applied to a weapon, but I believe only if you have the dual enchanting, or the dual effect enchanting perk, which is really hard to get. So that's kind of like an end game thing, Connor. You can have 2 spells. There are not any spells that specifically fire from power attacks. You can have an offensive and defensive spell, I believe, so that, you know, you have some sort of offensive spell on when you attack, and then you have a defensive spell for when you block. So that you can do. Let's see here. All right, well, we got our pickaxe. I'm actually just going to do it this way. What, am I not hitting it? Am I too tall? Jeez. Well, let's just do it the old-fashioned way then. Hopefully we'll get some gems, too. That would be nice. Is that only 2? No, we don't need that many. Whoa, jeez, there's another pickaxe. That scared me. Never know. Working in a mine, man, it would be so stressful. What you got? How many do we need? 12? That's not too bad. Yep, and I'm over encumbered now. I wish. I don't have anything that's light armor, but I still am not going to have enough magicka. Why is it not showing me how much I have? That would be nice. No, there and there and here. Transmute muscles. There's no way. Nope. Unfortunately not. Maybe what happened... I don't think that being naked is going to make that much of a difference here. Let's see. How much do I have? It should show me how much magicka I have. 95. Oh, my magicka's going to stay the same. No. Health, please. Thank you. Alteration. Up here. Go. Improved mage armor. Nice. What I want to check is the casting. Yeah, 123. Even if I'm naked, I might barely make the threshold. Nope. Nah, I was going to say, I didn't think I was going to improve it all that much, to be honest. I can drop one of these. Because that's all light armor, and that does not affect casting penalties all that much. Wow. I'm going to make another save here. Let me see. Alright, well. What am I barely... Oops. Barely under the threshold. Yep. How many do I have? 9, and I need 12. That's not so bad. Plus I can drop the pickaxe if I really need to. Those things are heavy. You can't run while carrying this much. No gems, though, huh? How unfortunate. There it is. Bring the iron ore to Alvor. Nice. Pickaxe. Drop that bad boy. And now we're good to go. Just barely, though. Uh-oh. Did I suddenly lose my... Oh, did my thing wear off? Damn it. Oh, no, because I had it equipped. Okay, this is where equipping Overhaul gets weird. And now am I going to be able to move again? No. Wait, yeah. See, that's... I don't know how I feel about that. We'll have to see. because it's very not... For anyone who doesn't understand what just happened there, I'm still experimenting with equipping Overhaul and... Not equipping Overhaul, sorry. Realistic Capacity and Cobb Encumbrance on this character. Realistic Capacity adds slots to your character where essentially anything that you have equipped is weightless or close to it. That includes weapons, and what you had there was the pickaxe. Because I dropped it, my inventory calculated that slot as missing, and I still had 2 weapons in my inventory, so essentially I just lost the entire carry weight of that pickaxe. But equipping another weapon to that slot essentially added that weight back. The problem is that it's not like there's an interface. Like, the system itself conceptually works just fine. It's just that there's no interface for slotted gear or anything like that. You don't see a classic RPG layout of your character's gear that you can specifically put items into and out of that visually demonstrates what's happening. And it doesn't update in real time either. You have to exit out of the inventory. So I'm trying to decide if it's intuitive enough to include, or if it's just something that will have to be passed on for now. Firecracker, thank you for joining us. Hi BB, new to chat but big fan. Guess you've already talked about it, but just popped by to say the reason you didn't get speech XP from any item last stream is a vanilla bug where vendors break if they have too much gold. You'll notice neither your nor Bellathor's gold amounts change the whole time. Oh. Interesting. Well, so if, according to Feodic, it's possible that those, what's it called? Those, well, okay, because that, I was getting experience, though, on some items, right? I have sleep to gain experience turned on, so we didn't see the experience until after we'd slept. But I did get money from those, but I can't remember if it's on the same save that I added, 40,000 gold to the guy, to Bellathor. That's interesting. Firecracker, can you elaborate more on that? If they just have a certain amount of gold, then everything breaks? Is that what that one mod is for? The barter fix, if I am remembering correctly? Because I do feel like I've heard something about that. Oh, Skyrim. Also, this is an interesting afternoon, isn't it? Look at this. I suppose that when I sleep, I'm going to gain a lot of experience. So this is actually kind of dangerous. You can see we got a wolf out there. I like this little post here. Oh, God. What are you guys doing? Mages? Or who's fighting who? That actually might be some Civil War actors. What are you guys doing? Oh, look out. Uh-oh, that person's wearing mage armor. Man, it'd be worth kind of going over there to check out what they have if... Oh, that person just took an ice spike. Damn, just beating him down the hill. Oh, he missed. Better put your dukes up. Man, that mage armor is going ham. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Well, I don't want you to start shooting at me next. Bro, she's not even moving. Who are you? What are you? That's an Imperial, I believe. And that must be a Stormcloak then? Or a bandit wearing... Oh, it's against the Thalamor? Okay, now I'm really confused. Nice! Nice job. Normally, I don't think that I have NPC loot assigned right here, but that's something I would like to have right here. Where is it? NPC's loot right there. Oh, well, must not have anything worth more than 110 gold. Oh, okay. Sky's clearing up now. It's actually kind of nice because it is not safe to traverse these plains when you can't see very far in front of you. TBH. Make a save right here. Whoa! Thank you, Firecracker, for reporting that to me. I'm always interested in hearing more. Ooh. Flawless Emerald. What the hell? You didn't want this Flawless Emerald. Oh, gosh. Where'd that come from? Someone made a donation. The quality meat. Connor, thank you so much. Why did it not show up on the bottom over here? On my thing. Maybe it did. I just didn't see it. I really appreciate that, man. But now I can't see whatever the message was. So my apologies. Thank you so much for that donation. Flawless Emerald. Why would they not take this? That is confusing to me. This person's got 2 sets of gear, it seems like. Thalmor, armor, and shield. What's editing you? Thalmor, Justiciar. I'm going to make a note of that. Maximum value for 32-bit is far away from 3200. Firecracker, yeah, I believe the limit of gold vendors can have is 32,000 rather. Something to do with 32-bit limit maybe, though I've only tested on Old Rim. Never actually played Requiem, so can't speak to the staff issue in particular. That is what the Barterfix SKSE plugin is for. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I will include that. That's definitely on my short list. Bug fixes are high priority, especially when it's something as simple as an SKSE plugin. Let me see here. Base ID 0010516F. So for those of you guys who don't know what I'm doing there, I'm copying down the base ID so that I can look at what's populating this person's inventory. And that way I can see if they're accidentally getting duplicate gear. Because they should not have 2 armors and 2 shields. That tells me something's going on. Potentially. Sometimes it actually is just how it is. So who was this man?
Keep walking. Move along.
Alright, geez. Whoa, that guy... What the fuck was that? That's crazy. Hold on a second.
This doesn't concern you, friend.
Why is he doing that with his hands?
Along.
But that's cool.
Move along.
The fact that he's warning me like that is kind of rad, to be honest. I can't remember exactly. I mean, that could be one of Strad's mods. I don't think I've ever seen that functionality before. It makes sense for this area. Animals do that. I've never seen an NPC do it. Wow. Man. It's like when... I mean, this used to happen all the time when I was first building out Ultimate Skyrim. Because when it first started, it was just a massive conflict resolution patch. So I would always discover new functionality from mods that were installed that I didn't even know about. That happens far less now, because it's like I know every bit of the installation. Or not every bit, but a large portion. Connor, I just said keep up the awesome work, something you must hear every day. Thank you so much, Connor. I am very lucky to have some very sweet people in the community who are nice enough to share, kind words every so often. Really just depends on the day. So far, I've been relatively lucky to not receive a ton of what you might call typical YouTube comments, or I think as many people regard them. But definitely I have received, not every comment is glowing, we'll just say. Sarnal, all Stormcloak, Imperial Thalmor patrols, or prisoner escorts do that move along thing. Really? Alright, well, fuck me. Shows what I know. Maybe I just never get close enough for them to do it. Alright, well, managed to make it back. No wildlife. Over here in beautiful... Wow. It is kind of breathtaking, isn't it? I really just... I don't know. I don't know if this would be a suitable play style... Ooh, fog rolling in. Play style for a Let's Play, but I'm so slow. I really just like to take my time and breathe in the world, and honestly, that's probably what I'll do in Season 2 as well. And, I mean, you could argue that the entire installation configuration and the specific lineup of mods is geared to do that, to encourage the players to really slow down and smell the roses, so to speak. But, not everyone likes to play like that. Firecracker, just quickly looked it up. People mostly report it breaking between 30 to 40,000 gold. This occurs when the vendor's gold goes above 32,767, which is above the 2 byte limit. Figuring out the cause is out of my depth, though, so can't really speak to that, just pointing out that there's a gold limit. Well, thank you very much, Firecracker. There shouldn't be any instances in the game where, like by default, where a character has anywhere near that amount of gold, but there's no sense in not fixing it if it's something that can be fixed through something like an SKSE plugin, so I will make a note to include Barterfix. I kind of protect the project files just because they are so experimental. They're filled with things that I would like to put in, things that I would like to put in that will maybe never end up getting there, so I don't want to get people's hopes up. But sometimes I do wish that I could show you guys some of that stuff, just so you can see the direction where I plan for the installation to go. For me, 4.0 is kind of like the beginning. I kind of treat it as a relaunch of the game almost.
Mistress, I finished forging the blade you asked for.
And it's still just a foundation for everything else that we want to do. Puppy! Hello. Hello. You make it very hard to commit crimes here in Whiterun. A lot of people kill you, I know. Well, where's Alvor? Alvor is... Oh, he's in Riverwood. Damn it. Shit. Well, okay, that's fine. We can offload some stuff here. What's up, my man? Jirtai. I'm assuming there's no more. Gather silver ore, that'd be tough. And that would be tough as well. Well, I don't know, we can take it. Gather silver ore, and if we happen upon any, then who wants it? Gather silver ore. Oops. At least so we get a sense of where it's at. Whoops. And no, I don't want to discard it. That's another problem there too, is looking for someone to collect a handful. No, I don't want to do it. Ulfberth Warbear. So he's here in Whiterun. There's places to get it. I thought you said missives was bugged. No, definitely not. Notice board is bugged. But missives is very cleanly implemented, to be honest. It's essentially the spiritual successor to missives. For some reason, the companions try to kill that puppy every time you try to duel them. Oh no! Do they really? What the hell? Actually, I'll make a note of that for Fonte, because that's kind of immersion breaking, is it not? Let's say... companions. You know what? Actually, I feel like I've witnessed that once, and I was like, what the hell's happening? It's probably something factional. Probably is an easy fix. Tried to kill puppy. Kill puppy. Poor guy. People kill the dog. Has no one heard of John Wick? Evidently not, my friend. Speaking of which, I've been trying to watch the second John Wick film for, it feels like forever now, and I just never make the time to do it. Soon, because I enjoyed the first one so much. I know that people say that the second one is not their favorite between the two, but I don't know. I really love movies a lot. All right, Bellathor, chill out. I went to school for film, actually, and I don't get to watch as many movies as I used to, or I say get to watch. You know, everyone makes time for stuff as they see fit. I watch a lot more TV than I do movies now, things like 22-minute episodes. I've been trying to really expand my anime knowledge. So like right now I'm watching Cowboy Bebop for the first time ever. But one of these days I'm going to sit down and watch John Wick. And I started to say this, I really love all different kinds of films, many different kinds. But man, you get me in a room with just like a gnarly, simple action movie, and I'm a very happy boy. So this is nice to have. It's also a little heavy. Silver Staff of Fireballs, but I'm going to hold on to it. Yeah. This is about as many things as I can... Oh, you know what? I might be able to use Equipping Overhaul to... Hold on a second. Does this count? Oh, shit. It does not, because it's a one-handed weapon. It's going to recalculate. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm burping so much. Fuck. I was hoping that I could put that one on as a two-handed weapon. I forgot the staves are one-handed. That's fine. Oh, well. Talk to Bellathor.
Take a look.
Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing. Let's see here. I'm good. We're going pretty minimalist right now, which is good. I don't need that. I'm gonna sneeze. It's not worth very much, is it? It's like, wow, what cash we've made. It is hard to make money as a new character, which is honestly how it should be. Here's where it's gonna really help us out. These gems, and they're not worth like a ton, but this is a lot of money that we just got. Like, look at this. We got 4 flawless rubies. Boom. Fucking 1,700 gold, baby. That's a decent... That's like a, you know... That's a solid chunk of change right there. And we kind of need the rest of this. Sort of. The tent is like a nice to have. Definitely not like a need by any means. But same thing with the cooking pot. It's good to have. I'd like to change some money. I'm aight there. Most likely, you get first. Hear it here first. I will probably be ditching Imperial Mail for 4.0. Not because it doesn't. It's a wonderfully designed mod. Honestly, it's very cool, and I think that I was so enamored with it that I decided to integrate it before really giving it a lot of thought. But the more I think about it, the more strange it feels to me. The idea of a like fully functioning shipping and mail system in a war-torn country that doesn't even have patrolled roads anymore. So I don't know. It's tough for me to justify. The Ordean, what's up, my boy? How you doing, my friend? I'm new here and loving Beta 4. Oh, awesome. Thanks for all that you do. Have you considered adding Become a Bard to the list? It would create a very cool Bard roleplay. I have, and I do believe... Let me double check. But I do believe that is on my short list as well. I will double check, because if it's not, then I will put it there, because I'm always looking for alternate ways to spend your time. Things that enhance your roleplay experience. It's not here. I got Bard's College tweaks, but let's put it on there. Become a Bard. There are so many. I wish I had a quick way to tally this up. Let's see here. Become a Bard. Put it right. Become a beard. It auto-corrected too. It's not a BB. Hey, Atru, how you doing? It's not a BB stream if there's no burping involved. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know that's a tricky thing because... So I watch a lot of Let's Plays, or listen to a lot of Let's Plays, you could say. Big Game Grumps fan, big Oni Plays fan. Huge... I mention these guys all the time, but the LaFave Bros, they are two brothers who did those Oblivion memes way back in the day. And they've recently started semi-recently started an Oblivion Let's Play that is just absolutely fantastic. So listen to them too. But anyway, there's a lot of like Let's Players who will burp. And I know that it's like I always see comments being like, oh, it's so... Oh, sorry, buddy. Who find it so disgusting. And I'm so sorry for that. It's not something that really bothers me or something that I don't really think about at all, to be honest. But I can understand how it would bother people, and I apologize if it bothers you. Also, my gosh. Also, you. I've been meaning to look at you for forever. Not look at you, but to look at you in the game files to change that fucking armor. Or I don't know. It's tricky because, like, it's pretty ridiculous that someone would be wearing this, but... like, Skyrim's pretty crazy, and she looks like a Nord, so I don't know. Take a tally. Do you guys find this immersion breaking, or do you find it not? Because to me it kind of is, but it's also like a cool armor set, and I don't know. Like, maybe someone would wear that. I personally wouldn't, but that's just, you know, I don't want to impose my will on anyone else. Or deemed. Oh, no. Theo Redeemed. I'm sorry, I've been mispronouncing your name. There's a couple different ways you could read that, I guess. You're very welcome, man. Thank you for the suggestion. Excuse me. Ah, that reminds me. Let me write this. I need to make the new mod suggestion thread. New suggestion thread. God, my handwriting is so bad. I've been writing a lot more with my hands. Just for various reasons, and I want to pop in here and get a see what kind of food we got. Anyway, I've been writing a lot more just with my hands between, you know, my Skyrim little black book and other little initiatives, and my God, my writing has gotten so terrible since I left school and since I type almost singularly or almost exclusively. Would be a better way of putting that. Hello, Holda.
If it's work you need, how about chopping up some wood for the fires?
Nah. I'd like to rent some rooms. Why is all this showing up? To run a room advanced. This is another area that I'm not quite happy with. The whole like, so you can go, what this is it's advanced room rental. The dialogue options, this is like your standard room rental, just it's vanilla functionality. I'd like to rent a room advanced like this. And you can do, for one thing, I don't like silent dialogue, but what are you going to do? You can get an extended stay. You can stay 3 days for a slight discount, or you can just do the standard, 50 gold staying the night. I really like this functionality. I really like the kind of roleplay options that these two options in particular provide. However, the problem is that it's not super intuitive that that's what those mean. I'd like to rent a room advanced. I'd like to rent a room 50 gold. It's okay, but I'd prefer it if there were only, since that second option for advanced encompasses the vanilla functionality where you can still just, do the standard 50 gold through that second option. I would prefer it if that option were the only one available for I'd like to rent a room. The problem is that a lot of, like, you can disable the vanilla one, like right out. You can just go in and disable the dialogue option. That's not hard. The problem is that there's a lot of mods that affect inns that use the existence of that default dialogue option to determine whether or not the mod's functionality should be implemented for that NPC. In other words, it uses that line of dialogue or that dialogue option as a condition check for whether or not it makes its services available. A good example of that is like the Tavern Games mod. If you disable that vanilla line or that vanilla dialogue option, the game will no longer recognize that character or any of the innkeepers as innkeepers. There are ways to fix that. You could redirect it, I'm pretty sure, what it uses for the condition check. I think another smarter condition check might just be the innkeeper faction. So I'll see if that can be edited, and that's something that I have in my notes, my huge list of feature changes. I would like to do that one day, just to make it slightly more intuitive. I mean, oh, who is this? I can't even... Mad Villain, thank you for joining us. One day, I'll be able to fix that. Uh-oh. Engineering is signed in. Why is it not? That's my streaming computer. But it's been on. I'm looking at it right here. Oh well, who knows? Computers.
Got some mugs need scrubbing.
Oh yeah?
I'm telling you, I heard it. How
Look at these guys learning how to bake.
werewolf tales are true.
Sadia. Well, she's actually paying attention to us. What have you got for sale, Hulda? I'm looking for... Man, you got all kinds of stuff. This honestly could use some cleaning up too. Because... inns have a lot of food, but it is wartime. This is a lot of food. Although also Whiterun is farming territory, so it makes sense a little bit. Mountain flower tea, consumed out of combat, restores 15. This flavorful tea slightly improves my warmth. Delicious rabbit mushroom stew. Restores 1 point of stamina per second for 2,000 seconds. That's all really nice. And I mean, we're kind of flushed with cash now, so we can afford the other stuff. Akai, can't you put the advanced options in the initial menu? That's actually an interesting idea. I didn't even think of that. It would be possible, I suppose. Sometimes there's weird restrictions on that not being possible, and it's very possible that the initial author of Perseid, the author of Realistic Inns and Taverns, relegated those options to a separate menu in order to allow the configurability of the MCM for people who didn't want those advanced options, but that's not the kind of thing that bothers me. I would be perfectly happy overriding the MCM setting if it meant consistently providing the experience that I'm going for. I do that all the time. So maybe that's actually an interesting idea. In fact, I'm going to write that down. Thank you, Akai, for your contribution. Put in parentheses here. Place in advanced options in initial menu. Can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but I print a little bit more often now, just so people have some chance of reading what I write. But for my entire life, I have written in handwriting most of the time. Ooh, this is all... honestly, this is better. And take some of this shit, and then I just need some basic foods here. Tomato soup. Can I sort by value? So what you got? Some cheap shit for me. Hold a mammoth cheese bowl. Ugh. Its raw taste is revolting. Oh, why? What is it like? Because it's raw? Weird. Bottled water. Seared salmon. Yeah, see, here's what I'm talking about. Cooked potatoes even, but none of this is particularly filling. Regular potato. You can be like Creed and just bite into a raw potato. Are you guys, if you're Office fans, that's one of my favorite moments early on in the series where they're doing Office Olympics and just coming up with fun games to play in the office. And in one of them, they take bets to see if the character Creed, the creepy old man, he's sitting at his desk and he's got an apple, I think, that he's eating, and he's kind of not paying attention. He's on his computer like this. He's got the apple, and then he takes a bite of the apple, puts it down, and then Ryan silently swaps out the apple for a raw potato. And then Creed picks it up, takes a bite of the raw potato, and just doesn't notice at all. And then certain characters start collecting money on that, making it clear that they had made a bet as to whether or not he'd notice. I'm sure it's hilarious when you hear me explain it like that, right? But it is so funny. That might actually be my favorite comedy show of all time. I'm going to go with the salmon. Got some food. And I don't really need drinks. I got an empty bottle of water, right? Now, will you fill this up? That's an interesting idea.
If it's work you need, how about chopping up some wood for the fires?
Like use your cooking pot. She will not. She will only fill up my water.
I can't.
Need anything else? Just
If it is like the mead keg. So this is interesting. These mead kegs work with realistic needs and diseases, but not with I need. A lot of these like kegs, you can see here, if I try to use it, it doesn't do anything. So I was thinking about just disabling them outright. But there's a chance that at some point I might move to realistic needs and diseases. Someone was talking to me, BG was talking to me about that. It's something I've considered. I just don't know it well enough to say, whether or not it'd be worth it to go through the trouble. Realistic needs and diseases seems to have some features I think are really cool, but it also, my concern is that it might overcomplicate the system a little bit. And it's just like, I'm pretty satisfied with the current implementation of needs gameplay thanks to I need. And so it's tough for me to justify spending the time doing that when there are so many other areas of the gameplay that I think require attention more quickly, if that makes sense. So I would like to make it. This is another note that I can make, is to see if innkeepers refill empty bottles, because I do believe if I have a water skin, then the innkeepers will offer to refill your water for 5 gold. It's a really nice feature. There's no reason that they shouldn't do that for an empty bottle as well, but I don't know how that feature functions. I don't know if it's like a conditional check for a certain item or something. But, it is what it is. Oh, I missed some chat here. Firecracker says, I just used the exchange currency mod instead of Imperial Mail. It worked well for me. It was useful for a world where gold had weight, but didn't create a whole post system like Imperial Mail does. So we do have exchange currency installed. That's another thing where I'm not quite sure if it's necessary. I don't know. Because gold does have weight. I can always change that. I don't even mind the idea. The thing that makes me wonder if it's necessary is that with the new death system and the risk that players accept, by carrying around gold, is that if you are killed, you might lose the gold. It makes me wonder if a system for managing gold weight is even necessary, because the whole purpose of adding that gold weight, I think, one is a realism argument, and if you get into that argument, it gets even fuzzier, because like every economy in the history of the planet has other denominations for their primary currency as opposed to just one coin, right? I guess there you can make the argument that exchange currency kind of fills that need, sort of. The other argument is for gameplay, where you want to encourage players not to carry around tons of gold all the time. And that goal, I think, is accomplished by the whole risk of losing it on death. So it's an interesting question. It begs the question of whether or not it's better just to make gold weightless and allow players to carry as much as they want, as sort of an abstraction of the idea that there would be multiple denominations of gold in the game already, and that maybe your gold value is just an abstraction of that idea. Maybe it's worth just making the gold weightless, doing away with any sort of exchange currency mod, and just using that death mechanic to encourage players to be careful about how much they carry. Interesting idea. Wenasun, hi BB, hello my friend. It's my first time watching you on Twitch, but I've been following you on YouTube for a while now. Thanks a lot for all your hard work. Can't wait for the release of US 4.0. Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you to say. You are very welcome, and thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. If you guys have any opinions on that gold situation, I'm always open to hearing about it as well. Zarnel says, I don't mind like 1 or 2 people walking around with a barbarian armor. Just don't make it a common occurrence. I actually disabled it for players to craft because, I don't know, I just think it's weird. Or like the barbarian armor specifically designed like Conan the Barbarian, where it's literally just a loincloth. And I don't know, I disabled it. I could always revert that. The barbarian hero armor that's specifically Conan the Barbarian, at the very least, if I re-implemented it, I would make it far less powerful than it is now, because by default it's like ebony armor or something like that. Obviously supposed to be, you know, like Conan the Barbarian was a very powerful character, and it's a parallel for that. But it makes no sense to me and that's something that would fuck with my immersion, that I can't use as like an abstract concept, where if you're not wearing any armor at all, you don't have any spells or whatever, you're wearing armor that is essentially just a loincloth, I don't think you should be getting ebony gear level damage reduction or armor rating. It's very odd. That's why even for the CCOR feature that allows you to convert helmets into circlets so that you can maintain the perks like well-fitted or custom fitting or whatever, the ones that give you perks or bonuses for having a complete set. CCOR allows you to convert the helmets into circlets in case you don't like the appearance of the helmets. But even then, the circlets are less protective. They have significantly less armor rating because it's a circlet. You know, a helmet obviously protects you more efficiently than a circlet would. It's just around your forehead. Zarnel, so regarding coinage, I enjoy the implementation that Pillars of Eternity uses. You find specific named coinage of all sorts of cultures and nations, but the moment you pick it up, it gets converted into an abstract copper value, which you use in stores. So that's kind of what I am talking about here, where your gold value, so to speak, is an abstraction of that. It's almost like what you're describing, Zarnel, would actually be one step further, and it would actually be preferable, I think, because if you're showing in-game different currency types, and when players collect those, you are also showing in-game that whatever they're collecting is converted to a generically titled gold, that, I think, inherently demonstrates that the currency system in the game is an abstraction, as opposed to a literal representation, which is what Skyrim kind of is now, because all the gold that you find is called gold or septims in Requiem. Your gold value, you can't help but assume that it's 1-to-1, and that you are literally, if you're carrying 3,000 gold, you are literally supposed to be carrying 3,000 gold coins, as opposed to a system like what you're talking about, Zarnel, which is like, that value is very clearly an abstraction because you're picking up other denominations of currency, and it's just listed as like a generic name. Hopefully that makes sense. That's why I think it's cooler. And I think that there are mods, if I'm not mistaken, that do that, right? Which transform a lot of the currency you find in-game into specific currency types that are like older. If you know what I'm talking about, if someone can help me out there, I feel like there's one like, hey, Sacroletius, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. That keeps the idea and immersion of the world not just being a single kind of coin, agreed. Doesn't give you the hassle of actually juggling all that stuff yourself because nobody likes that. Also, frankly, agreed. This is why in 3.4 I have gold weight turned off. This with the whole Requiem re-implementation of gold weight and gems, I understand they're trying to introduce more gems to make it more like manageable. So Requiem's idea is the opposite, where they are trying to expand the literal interpretation of the currency. In Requiem, whenever you find gold, you are picking up exactly that amount of gold coins, and that is something you are supposed to be carrying literally, not abstractly. And the gems are supposed to be a stand-in, so that you can, have more value for less weight in that way, which I get, but I'm not sure that system feels right to me either. And I am almost leaning more towards something like what you're talking about, Zarnal. And the idea of exchange currency also, it's just taking that same Requiem concept and taking it even further, which is why I originally implemented it. But I don't know. It's like I said, it's a difficult question of whether or not that is just a far overcomplicated system for something that could be a lot simpler. And especially now because the whole idea, right, of having gold take up weight, in my opinion, besides just that a little additional bit of realism and immersion, the gameplay purpose is to encourage players to think carefully about how much gold they're carrying. In this specific instance, you are encouraging them to consider that because of how much space in your inventory it takes up. And to me, you can accomplish that same goal of encouraging players to think critically about how much gold they're carrying by creating that danger of losing it on death. And that could, when regarded the right way, eliminate the need to use gold weight for that same purpose, if that makes sense. Sacroletius, well, he says, I actually like gold weight. So this is what we're talking about at the moment, Sacroletius. And you know that I always have an ear to your gameplay concepts, so I'm curious to hear your opinion on this. Firecracker says, I'm pretty sure the mod Coins of Tamriel does exactly what you're describing there, with picking up denominations, copper, silver, gold, using a script upon pickup to make them all the same copper value in your inventory. I think that might have been what I was thinking about, Firecracker. I feel like there's one, because that's pretty cool. And I like that idea because, once again, just by virtue of you picking up 3 different types of denominations and having them all transform, quote-unquote, into one in your inventory, just immediately drives home this idea to the player that that's an abstraction and not a literal interpretation. But I also really like the idea of, I think what would take that immersion, quote-unquote, even further is if the coins are specific to the like the environment in which you found them. So obviously, as far as I know, I could be wrong about this, but the Dwemer, like if the Empire was not created as we know it now, and septims didn't exist for the Dwemer at the time, they wouldn't be using septims, So having whatever the Dwemer equivalent of septims would be cool. Having other types of currencies would be even cooler versus copper, silver, gold. But I think that is a step in the right direction. And actually, I'm going to write that down just in case, because I can never remember. But I believe that there was a mod that does like what I'm talking about. I could be wrong about that, though. Theo Redeemed. I think the abstract idea works for the realism argument, too. Giving each iteration weight as well makes it even more realistic. Well, so they're what you're talking about, those seem kind of at ends to me, because if it's an abstraction, all of the... Well, I guess if you're carrying them in your inventory, you can give each one separate weight, but then that makes things even more complicated. Sacroletius, in fact, I would prefer every item to have weight, even quest items and the like. I dislike weightless items. I totally get you there. Or the idea that, it's inconsistent. It's like, why are some items... Why are they exceptions to a system that applies to every other item in the game. Just because something's a quest item does not mean that it's weightless. Makes no sense. Sometimes you'll get quest items that seem like they should be quite weighted, but of course the limitation is that you can't lose quest items by default in the game. So obviously giving the player an item that they can't drop that weighs a lot is a tricky consideration as well. Firecracker. Skyrim coin replacer Redux has culture-specific coins, but doesn't use a script to switch them. They're just inventory items you have to sell for value. By culture-specific, I mean Dumax for Dwemer ruins and Heralds for Ancient Nord ruins. Ancient Nord, Heralds, Dwemer, Dumax. Oh, so that might actually be chill, because then... That is tricky. Because then you still have gold being that one-to-one interpretation, right? Fuck me. That is interesting. I was about to say, it almost seems cooler to me, as opposed to like if you were going to have a system or a mod that added new denominations of currencies that correspond to old civilizations or something, right? It seems more likely to me that those would not have a uniform value to people living today. So for that reason, an abstraction where picking up a Dumak or a Herald immediately converts those coins to a universally agreed upon value through a script, that seems weirder to me, because there's some people who, if you can't buy things with heralds, they would have less value to certain people. Right, Dumaks and heralds aren't one-to-one value with septums. Right, wouldn't your overall coin have to go into decimal places? That is to say, if you pick up a Dumak or a herald, it wouldn't be a one-to-one value, surely. Right. It's a bit tricky because their value is dependent on your speech skill if they're inventory items. Think of it like an exchange rate, though. Right. And that's even that's what I'm talking about, where it probably wouldn't have a universal value unless there's some sort of... I mean, I guess it could. I guess you can write in anything you want. And then in that system, too, having something like exchange currency would not be out of the realm of possibility. It would seem reasonable. It's just like, is this all worth it? Is it an enhancement to the gameplay experience, or is it an complication of something that could be much simpler? It's an interesting idea, though. I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna keep playing, but I'm gonna have that in mind. I guess the idea would be between a system where gold is just entirely streamlined. It's an abstraction. It weighs nothing. And the gold that you pick up can also still be different denominations. Like you could do the original, coins of Tamriel, where it's copper, silver, and gold. And then you pick it up and it's weightless. And that way you can just purchase whatever you want. And if you don't want your gold to be lost when you die, you just carry less of it. That is the simplest, most streamlined system. But it might lose something in immersion that you would gain from having a system where the coins could be different denominations. They still have weight. They could be sold for differing amounts of money depending on your speech skill and who you're selling it to. You could still exchange the original gold septums into other, like currency exchange notes. I don't know. Let's see. Connor said, well, okay, hold on. Thunderclaw, I mean, in this kind of society, the value of a coin is literally the value if the amount of metal it contains. So I guess in that instance, Thunderclaw, the idea is that there would be a universal value. Well, maybe not, because then the metal is, like, different metals are worth more and less depending on where you are in the world. So I don't know. Quality meme, Connor says, I'm thinking a similar system to Kingdom Come Deliverance. There's lots of different coins that are all just defined as Groschen. Your overall coin goes into decimal places to emphasize half pennies and so on. Now that would be cool. And I agree with you that would honestly make things a lot simpler in terms of conversion rates and whatnot. But I don't believe it's possible to represent gold as decimal rate, to add a decimal point to gold, at least as the default gold value is concerned. Zarno, Bethesda looked at this problem and said, no, this is not worth it. lets you have generic gold coins and bottle caps. It is true, but just because Bethesda does something one way, I definitely would not take as a, you know, some sort of universal evidence that that's how it should be done. But it is worth acknowledging, too. Bethesda does a lot of things. I was thinking about this. I've said this in other streams. Really, there's so many things that they do that are really easy to overlook or take for granted. But it does pay, or it is worth paying attention to some of the stuff that they do, because there's a reason that they're kind of the best in some regards. I was thinking about that specifically in reference to, so you guys know the Windhelm bridge overhaul, right? That we use in Ultimate Skyrim. And I think what I'm going to do here is make my way to Riverwood. It's still light enough to where I could do that, I think. It's a little bit tricky, but I should be okay. Excuse me. So Windhelm Bridge Overhaul adds this. Oh, this guy. Property for sale. I thought I set you to not havoc settle. Nope, guess not. Oops, sorry. Windhelm Bridge Overhaul adds a little section underneath the bridge where the guards hang out. It's kind of cool. It's like this interesting fortification where they have kind of like a little guard outpost down there with some armory stuff. It's very cool. I like it a lot. You go down there, you talk to the guards. They behave like normal guards. They don't say anything to you about the specific setting that you're in, right? Like this underneath the bridge thing, which is just a limitation of the mod. And it's not like they're going to, either they could write silent dialogue, which a lot of modders are not a fan of, or they could do voice acting, which is difficult. But I was thinking about that in contrast to how the game ships by default, right? Which is like, you can walk into some random little house or, you know, pointless room, and whoever you find there, when you speak to them, chances are they're going to say something about or to you that is unique. It's either going to be related to who they are as a person or the location that you guys are in. A good example of this would be the East Empire Company warehouse in Windhelm, like on the docks, just like this fairly unassuming little spot. Like when you go in there and you talk to the guy, it feels very much like a real interaction, because he'll immediately start referencing the place that you're in, as opposed to just being like, hey, what's up? You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but I find it cool, and I think that it's like a little touch that's easy to overlook. Also, fuck me, this is bad weather and it's getting dark, and maybe I shouldn't have done this. Let's see. There used to be a mod named Immersive Currency, which added copper, silver, and gold for septims, dumox, and heralds. So 9 different types of coins in total. That is, I mean, I guess that's the kind of penultimate example of what we're talking about here. Is that mod not around anymore, Sacriletius? Hi, ST. How you doing? I have an issue in my beta install where I keep hearing the drinking sound effect, even if I didn't drink, and it happens randomly. Really strange. Do you mean the water sound effect or the drinking sound effect? Because if it's the water sound effect, that could be because you don't have your FPS capped. Do you have your FPS capped at 60, ST? That would be my first guess. Also, my god, it is much darker now. I'm gonna quote, Immersive Currency was removed from the Nexus. I wonder why. I always wonder why. I mean, obviously, many different modders have different reasons for why they do that stuff. But, there we go. Bottled water received. I'm going to get Giardia again. And one more time. Delicious. Oh, it is real dark. Make myself a target. Like when you drink from a water skin and you have your FPS capped. I've never experienced anything like that, ST. Unfortunately, I would need to see your mod watch, or maybe the people in the Old Sky beta can help you out. If you provide more information, too, on exactly when it happens, and as much information as possible, really. Because I have not seen that myself, unfortunately. I don't like this. I'm going to switch to melee here. Huh. Kind of a nice night, though, isn't it? Obviously, the rain makes it maybe not nice for some people's interpretations, but I like... Oh, God. That scared me. This is Old Orc. It is. What's up, man?
I am waiting for a good death.
Why do you wish to die?
My time has come. I am
He looks
old,
positively
too old
badass.
to become chief. It would be wrong for me to take wives at this age, so I will die. Malakath has given me a vision of a glorious death. I am to wait here until it finds me. As you can see, it has not yet arrived.
Huh. You don't look that old to me. Certainly you're still a strong, capable warrior.
One should find his death while he can still call himself a proper man. We Orcmen are not like these Nords and Imperials who carry on until they are gray and feeble and their hair falls out.
So
To cling
cool,
to
dude.
something past its usefulness is unseemly. How much more so when that thing is you?
Well, unfortunately...
You should leave. I don't want you scaring off my good death.
Alright, I will. I don't have time to do anything with you guys either. Cancel. Let's see here. I only once hid one of my mods temporarily, and that was because it contained a game-breaking bug. That, to me, that makes perfect sense. If you have a mod that introduces a problem that's game-breaking or a bug that can compromise people's games, that, I think, is a very legitimate usage of hiding your file until you can get everything sorted. It's the... I don't know. I mean, people have their own reasons for hiding stuff, and who am I to judge, I suppose, but I've just seen people hide their mods for reasons that seem so strange to me and needless, you know? I don't know. The modding scene is chock full of weird drama like that, as anyone knows. Let's see here. Finocio said it was happening to him too. I hit it once the bug was fixed. Is the grab steal game tweak supposed to work on any item flagged as stolen? Okay, well, so ST, same thing. I would need to know exact circumstances or as much information as possible. Not necessarily here in chat, but maybe in the beta channels. Like what, when and where that is happening to you. Maybe even like a video if you could provide it. That would be nice. Akerai, does US use Minor Arcana? It does, Akerai, not wholly. There are, like, not every feature from Minor Arcana, or in this case Minor Arcana Reborn, is used in Ultimate Skyrim, but many are. The Forsworn are not nearly as kind of redonk in Ultimate Skyrim as they are in Minor Arcana. Civil War actors, on the other hand, are still very Minor Arcana-y, if that makes sense. They are significantly buffed by that mod. And other little things here and there. Ooh, Riverwood. My favorite place in Skyrim. One of my favorite places. It will always have a special spot in my heart, and I don't think I'm alone in that. Everyone loves Riverwood, right? It's the first place that everyone sees. Alright, well, we're here. What time is it? It's 8 o'clock. Alvor. Oh, here he is. Hey, guy.
Ain't every day we get visitors in Riverwood.
It's true.
Thank you. Here, this is for you.
Thank you. Okay, so 75 septims is not nearly enough. Although the Spellbinder Runic Boots, that's pretty good. So maybe that is worth it then. I almost kind of like that more. I thought he was going to give me a flat gold amount. The Spellbinder Runic Boots, that's pretty cool. Because then you might actually get something that you like. I still might raise that gold amount a little bit, because if I try and sell this, it's not, you know, super valuable. But I like the idea that he gives you gold and maybe like a piece of equipment that you might actually want to use yourself.
I'm all ears.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. I notice I can still pick up items marked as stolen. ST, it should work. Does work, but not on every item marked as stolen. I had one bug on an item that had a particular faction. Be happy this isn't the Steam Workshop. You remove a Steam Workshop mod, it will uninstall from people's games. Eee. Yikes. Which item wasn't it working on? One mod author getting angry or frustrated can ruin many people's games. Yeah, no kidding. Steam Workshop, I mean, I can understand why they would do that conceptually, but from the perspective of a mod user, that's obviously not great. Not ideal. Ugh. Okay, we need to go to bed here. But this is just Riverwood at night and during the rain. I'm gonna turn off my lantern. Oh, my lantern. It's just there's something so beautiful about it, isn't there? I really need to update my E and B binaries too, because I don't have the rain occlusion and I really want it. I just think it's so amazing that like you get this slight reflectivity on all this stuff from like the wet rain. Check it out, you can see the difference. Bam. Honestly, does not look terrible. Looks very washed out, but still looks alright. Old, new hotness. Fantastisch. Alright, let's go stay here for the night. Oh, I'm hungry. I was wondering why I was getting hungry so fast. It's because I need it set to have all my needs at 4 instead of 3, I believe. 3 is... the better setting. What time is it? 11:27. Got a little bit more than 30 minutes left, boys and girls. Sorry, I'm stretching. I'm gonna stand, if you guys don't mind. Oh, I'm stretching. Still stretching. This is important. Also stretching your wrists. I have a cute little Splatoon 2 infographic that shows you a bunch of cool stretches to do with your hands. Man, now I really want to play Skyrim. Well, you play it, Thunderclaw. ST, know when I went to the wizard's quarters and picked up a potion, it counted as stolen. But my US setup keeps crashing. Uh-oh. Typically that's solvable, depending on what's going on. If it's random crashing, it's typically a memory problem, which is also pretty solvable with ENB. If it's a specific crash, I'm sure that we can help you with that. Sacroletius, let's see. God, some of these colors. Mad Villain, Belmont Boys, a squid confirmed. I'm an Octo kid, thank you very much. It's actually not true. I don't have the Octo expansion. I wish I did. I am a squid. That's how I get so much work done. Psh, I wish. I wish I had 8 arms. Look, train on this archery target. Oh, I need to edit that. Look at that. First of all, that message. This is my policy for messages in the corner versus message boxes. The message boxes are second person, or should be, and the messages in the corner should be first person, and also they should have proper punctuation. So, on that one. Hello.
They say the college has been snooping around Sarthal.
Her stance like this.
No good.
It's like, hey, what's up? They say the college has been snooping around Sarthal. Heard about that? It's more like a this. Ezia.
Not my problem.
Ah, no one, that person has not enough gold. No one ever has enough gold. Tavern games. Questionable implementation, that one. I tried to troubleshoot it. Jesus. Troubleshoot it with the Discord, but could never get it done. Kind of looks like a memory problem, but I ran tester thing and it showed no problems. I don't know what tester thing is, unfortunately, Thunderclaw. ST, I'll post a mod watch. The drinking sound effect seemed to happen when I was around the Immersive Patrol's war spawns. Interesting. Well, those are the real difficult areas, it seems.
Heard there were wolves on the road up north.
It's true. He's gonna tell me not my problem. That either see, I would hate to go in and just add a bunch of gold to everyone's inventories. I wish it didn't actually utilize. Well, we'll see about that.
We got rooms and food, drink too. I cook. Ain't much else to tell.
Oh yeah? What about work?
Here, take a look at this. Some of the Jarl's men came by and left this bounty letter.
Whoa, okay. Silent Moon's Camp, not Halted River Stream. Well, fuck me, that's not something we're gonna be able to do. No way. Also, this is too expensive. Let's see. Can I... Wait. Oh, I gotta talk to Delphine.
All right, then.
Goodbye, Orgnar. Hello, Miss Lady.
You're that visitor been poking around.
Yeah?
Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Thank you. Alright, well, I guess it's my room then. It's this one, right? Nope, not that one. Also, don't like this. Don't like that at all. You can see that it's repeated texturing. That's probably realistic lighting. Yep. Well, some of these statics, they're like very hit or miss with me. The texture repeating is an obvious, you know, kind of like that's something that could be fixed. But it's like, why would this even... And they will change with the time, I believe. In fact, let's double check this here. If I wait... Like, the intensity of the light will change with time, right? So if I wait 12 hours, I believe that those will change appearance. But it's like, why would they even be there at all if it's fucking 9 p.m. and super dark outside and it's raining? You can make the argument. See, they do change kind of there. And see, like, that looks kind of nice. I like that well enough. Like, that looks nice, too. It's not quite as obviously repeatable. It still is if you look at it. I wish that there was a way to offset the animation, because that would really solve your problems. Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't know. Don't know. Immersive Patrol's War Spawns. I use Block Steel Redux. That's another one that's on the short list. Wardrobe requires key. Fine. I won't go into your secret room that I'm not supposed to know about yet. Oh, very pretty. Well, how about... I think Silent Moon's Camp might actually have silver ore, if I'm not crazy, but there's no way we'd be able to take that on. No way, not no way, not no how. So we're gonna load this up, and then I'm gonna do this too, since we're here. Go to I need, and then we go, let's set this to 3, and to 3, and to 3. Dank. Excuse me, Delphine. What a nice, God, can you think of like a cozier fucking spot than this, right? I don't know, maybe I'll just go through and disable all these statics. They're nice, but I just don't think that you would see this, right? At 9 p.m. When it's just pitch black outside. Connor says, I've got to head off now, Truce. BB, it was awesome to catch a stream live instead of watching the VOD. Keep up the awesome work, man. See you all soon. Thank you very much for stopping by, Connor. I really mean that. And for all your work on the bug report template. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure that all the other players will too. Hopefully, I can see you in the next one as well. Smokey Bear, how you doing? Had 6K mem/VRAM usage once, no crash, right after creator's update. Well, see, that's how it is on mine, too. I mean, I kind of do approach maxing out the VRAM sometimes, but I very rarely experience crashes. The only crash that I experience is that one R6025 mysterious one. You know, it's tough to say, because I also have, like, a very powerful rig, but that was the case for me even when I had less powerful stuff. Well, that was still pretty powerful. It's tough. But typically speaking, random crashing is a memory issue. Well, so Thunderclaw, Skyrim Performance Monitor, it works well, but you don't necessarily have to approach your VRAM limit in order to crash because of memory. Sometimes just this is my understanding anyway, I don't want to spread misinformation, but my understanding is that Skyrim's method for allocating memory within the Papyrus scripting engine can sometimes cause problems in and of itself, even if you were not actually approaching your maximum, you know, VRAM threshold or memory threshold. It was so weird, too. Repeatable until it wasn't. Like, I walked into a town and it died 4 times in a row, and then the 5th time it worked. Now, that could be related to... Are you running 3.4 or 4.0? Because that could be something else. Because if it's repeatable a bunch of times and then not, it could be something about a certain bit of gear that someone's wearing. Maybe a creature spawn of some kind. It could be a problem. Sacolete says, did you still have the C++ runtime error with Jib's quest finished? I do believe that we did, Sacolete, but I don't remember because I didn't actually do like some super extensive testing to see if that was the case. So I'll make sure, if I get it again, then I'll spend some time really doing that and really determining whether or not that fixes the problem. Let me eat some. Hey, can you fuck off, please? Thank you. This is my favorite Bard song, by the way. Whoa. Hello. I wonder if I can re-implement player head tracking. There's a reason that I removed that at one point, but I do like it a lot. Also, our guy looks fucking cool as hell. Dima, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Good evening. I hope Ultimate is developing well. It is, as far as I can tell, Dima. It is. I'm cranking away as per usual. Oh, Sven.
Feindal thinks he can woo Camilla Valerius away from me. She's already mine, I keep telling him.
That is a weird thing to say to someone that you just met, my friend. I'm just saying. You're coming on a little bit strong. You sound a little bit clingy. Maybe you're not. I don't know. I shouldn't judge too much, but don't. I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. Is there somewhere I can buy fresh supplies?
Lucan's got a little bit of everything at the Riverwood Trader. If you need weapons or armor, see Alvor, the blacksmith.
Cool. Tutorial dialogue. Can I make a request?
Sure. What can I do for you?
Can you sing none of those, actually? Because I don't want to listen to you sing it. I'm going to eat some cooked salmon. How am I doing now? I'm pretty good. I just got to go take a room for the night. Hopefully you guys can get that situation sorted out, because I fully plan to implement Sacroletius' tweaks at some point soon. Hello. What a fucking... It's just cool as hell to, like, hang out in a place like this, is it not? I could just sit here and just talk to everyone and do nothing at all. Play some games. Use an alchemy station. Throw up a little bit of cash for that, of course. Just goose. Steal from chest. Oh, did I not buy it? No, I did. But I can't use the... Because it's the Riverwood one, huh? How come I can't do it? Realistic room rental. The Riverwood Inn is odd. You can't do the normal features because it's tied into the main quest. I made Sven a speech trainer in Buvarp. That's Sacrolet. I can't remember exactly what that stands for, but it's Sacroletius' kind of personal overhaul. I think it's a good idea, Sacroletius, especially if people use the typical start. The idea of a speech trainer right off the bat could be nice, and also not only just for, like, you know, the convenience of having a speech trainer here in Riverwood, but demonstrating conceptually training. I can't remember if there's anyone in Riverwood who will teach you skills. I guess either Feindal, or it must be Feindal who teaches you marksmanship, but I think that might only be after you're friends with him, if you side with him. And Nat, is this a Belmont boy I see? It is. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Let's see here. I quite liked playing a mage and just hanging out in the inn researching spells. I agree, Thunderclaw. That's one of the reasons why spell research is in, is it gives you something to do in your downtime. One of the things I really want, it's kind of already there through a lot of Iron Dusk's mods, which I'm really grateful for. Things like religion, train and study, spell research. I think he has a very similar idea of what is cool in his game. But just being able to earn experience doing stuff besides combat, right, is fun to me. In 4.0, it will likely be with the new emphasis, because not everyone can access breakdowns anymore, and they're actually locked behind perks. I will likely make it so that getting, like, breaking items down does yield a little bit of smithing experience as well. I would like to, same thing with the tanning rack, just breaking them down at a smelter or tanning rack. I would even like it if, for something like alchemy, collecting reagents, this might be too easily exploitable, but if collecting reagents gave you even just like a little small amount of XP, I always thought that would be cool too. Just things like that, you know, things that where, almost like a RuneScape idea where everything you're doing is filling out some sort of experience progression, because that's how life is, right? Like everything we do is kind of like that. It's very immersive. Let's see. Oh, that's Buvarp. I'm sorry, Sacroletius. I misspoke earlier when I referred to that as your overhaul. Ikuti, hello. I installed UltSky this week and I'm having a lot of fun. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thanks for the support, my friend. Posted a mod watch BB in case you want to check it out later. of why drinking sounds keeps happening. I will try. Why can't Mad Villain? It's this fucking yellow that Twitch displays. I need to change it into dark mode or something, so I can't see at all. Life is immersive. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Of course it is. Sacroletius. Oh, you played RuneScape, Belmont boy. I did, and I actually started again. Sacroletius. RuneScape was my first ever MMO, actually, and I have extremely fond memories of it. And I heard that it was, at least old school RuneScape was experiencing kind of a resurgence or like a renaissance. And there's a content creator who I really like, whose opinions I very much trust on MMOs specifically. His name is The Lazy Peon, and he made a video not that long ago essentially sharing his experiences with old school RuneScape, his continued experiences, and why he feels that it's actually one of the best MMOs that are out there right now. And a lot of the points he made reminded me of why I enjoyed RuneScape so much when I played it. And it's one of those things that's initially I thought that it was, my interest was purely nostalgia, right? But then as he kind of ran through his reasoning, and as I've been playing a little bit, I'm reminded of the fact that there's actually a lot of really cool mechanics and things in RuneScape that I value as a gamer now that are not just simply tied to nostalgia. Like, for example, the ability to interact with everything in the world, even if it's just examining items for flavor text, the purpose that everything in the world serves, using stuff, you know, just like environmental interaction, being able to fill up like buckets and stuff at like a sink, or some of the stuff you even do on the tutorial island, being able to chop down a tree in order to use it to make fire so that you can cook some stuff that you just caught at the river. That's all stuff that we have in Skyrim, or things that I've tried to add in that way, you know, like through mods and stuff. So it still seems pretty cool. And one of the things I really like about MMOs in general is the player interaction. I love single player games a lot, but I also enjoy the social element of MMOs and being able to face off against other players. I don't know. So I've kind of started dabbling in old school RuneScape again. I showed this off earlier in the stream. I'll find it. Where's my phone? I'll show you our characters that we made, Tyler and I. I need to get myself off of Tutorial Island though. But also there's the advantage, this is kind of the advantage that Skyrim has too, but you have a game that has existed for so long. It's an older game, but because it's existed for so long and because it's remained popular for so long, there is so much content. There's so much stuff to do. It's the same advantage that Skyrim has after 7 years of modding and DLCs. When you have something that cumulatively combines all that content, there really is so much to do, and there's so much refinement, which I think is really, really cool. If you don't mind the graphics, of course, which I quite enjoy, there's an experience with a lot of depth there, I think, waiting for you in terms of gameplay. And that's what kind of matters to me at this point in my life most. Anyway, here you go, Sacroletius. This is our, I showed this off earlier, this is our two characters. We're brothers, the Grundle brothers. We're trying to convince our other friend to join us as well so that he can be yellow and we can round out the primary color trifecta. Let's see here. Cook stuff like shrimp. Yes, all the shrimp in the world. Fishing in Skyrim. So Sacroletius, I have Art of the Catch and Fishing in Skyrim, in Ultimate Skyrim, to neatly combine those two. It's another thing that kind of allows you to just spend some time doing that. And it would be really cool too. That is, oh, fuck me. I think I might have already written this down somewhere, but fishing progression. What I would like to do is use, so some of you might know this, some of you might not, is so Campfire allows you to create secondary skill trees for other skills. So using a campfire, you can access your secondary skill trees, which by default are simply weather survivalism and camping efficiency. But like with many of the things that Chesko's put together, because he's a fucking champion, that functionality is intended for use as a framework too, if you want to develop your own secondary skill trees. And what I thought would be really fun, this is like a future task, would be to transfer Hunterborn's progression to one of those secondary skill trees instead of having it exist exactly as it is now. It's fine the way that it is now. I think it works well where you just naturally level up in Hunterborn abilities as you use them, which is cool. But I thought that, giving you the perk points would allow it to function more like the traditional perk trees and stuff in Skyrim. Honestly, if I remade Skyrim, I would do away with the perks entirely, I think, and just make progression entirely organic, where you, more like RuneScape, something like that, where you level up in the things that you do. I get the perk system too, but it's just very abstract. But anyway, I thought it would be very fun. I figure if the perk system is so pervasive in this game, we might as well lean into it just for the sake of consistency. And there are things that I like about it. It's not like a terrible system by any means. It gives the player an interesting degree of control over what sort of advantages they provide themselves. It gives you an interesting resource to balance. But I thought it would be fun to take something like Hunterborn's progression, or even progression for fishing, for something like Art of the Catch, and tie those to those secondary skill trees as well, and just make everything nice and consistent and congruous. It's very cool. Let's see. Are you doing that jig? Yes, I was doing the jig, Mad Villain. Great eye. In the RuneScape screenshot specifically. I find that old games also often have an advantage just because their design philosophy is different. It's very true. It's very related to what I'm talking about, Thunderclaw, where you just... it's a different time, right? If you look at those... I was talking with Tyler about this yesterday. You look at CRPGs of eras past, when things generally were not voice acted, where graphically things were a lot simpler, and there was not as much pressure to approximate real world immersion, right? Where, or like Aaron Hansen makes a good point about this, for whatever you feel about his critical videos. The closer a game experience gets to real life in terms of what it's trying to portray, the harder it has to work, or else you risk breaking the player's immersion. Even something like Skyrim, right? Like, since Oblivion added voice acting, now if you try and play this game, which really is kind of trying to approximate like a fantasy life in terms of its graphics and how it presents itself, you have to spend a lot of time on things like animations, or making characters move naturally through animations that kind of convince you that you're in a world versus like a video game. Things like voice acting or weather systems or just things like that. A lot of those things are much easier to implement on those old school engines that CRPGs used to use. And because people didn't have to spend as much time on that stuff, the systems could be a lot more complex. They're obviously rudimentary sometimes too, because they're old games and there's been a lot of advancements since. But I think this is why it's really cool when you see games utilizing old school design philosophies, really aiming for that depth and complexity that you used to find in those CRPGs or tabletop RPGs. It's cool to see new games that come out that have those design philosophies while also taking advantage of newer advancements in game design technology. A good example of that to me, I think, would be like Cataclysm DDA. That's another game that I've been looking to get into lately, that I've been watching fondly from afar. But summarily, it's a big reason why games like RuneScape still kind of appeal to me, is that the graphics are simple, the presentation is simple. So it's still, I think it looks great, to be honest, but it's not going to compete with your AAA game or even your AA game in terms of graphical fidelity, which graphics are important. I think graphics can make a big difference in terms of your experience and your immersion with that experience and yada yada yada. But when you have simple graphics like that, you don't have to focus as much, you don't have to spend as much time trying to approximate reality. When people have already suspended their disbelief as to what the game world is with the graphics it already has, you can spend a lot more time on developing deep game mechanics or adding new content that takes advantage of the mechanics you already have in place. It's just like an interesting pros and cons, and that's the kind of thing that I find myself more drawn to nowadays. It's ideally you can have both, which is why I've chosen to spend all my time on this ultimate Skyrim project, right? Because you have the potential here through the infinite talent of the modding scene to create an experience that is both graphically satisfying, graphically immersive, while also being mechanically deep through the use. I mean, both of them are enhanced by mods, both concepts. So hopefully you can create something that kind of has the best of all the different worlds, which is something I'm trying to do here. But I definitely appreciate those things separately in other experiences and use those as like inspiration. How did I even get to... I always find myself rambling towards the end of these streams. Because I always say this too, I don't get to talk shop so often. IRL, so these streams are really nice for that. What did I miss here? We only got like 10 minutes left, so I'll spend that. Let's round out our game here. What did I just sleep? No, I did not. I wasted an hour talking. Let's go 12. This is the only way I can do it. This will make me 11 a.m., 10 a.m., 9 a.m., 8 a.m. 9 hours of sleep. That's real nice. I wish. Honestly, I could get that much sleep if I wanted to. I just don't typically. I tell myself, do I want to be returned to this place after you die? Sure. This is another thing that we plan on doing is making the death system a little bit more diegetic, we'll say, a little bit less gamey. At least hopefully, if we get around to it, or if Gatto finds the time. He's a very busy boy at the moment, and the death system is kind of his project. Sacroletius says, old school RuneScape is one of the last MMOs I still enjoy today. Most generalist MMOs, WoW, ESO, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, fail to keep me interested. I feel exactly the same way. Sacroletius, you're going to combine Art of the Catch and fishing in Skyrim. Nice. Yes, that is the plan. Well, actually, that's how it already is in the beta, I believe. Yeah, because I de-integrated fishing in Skyrim at one point for just nonsense reasons. That was a long time ago. Reintegrated it. There's still some edits that I want to do to it, but as it stands right now, they both exist in the game alongside each other, which I think is a really nice combination that adds kind of a lot of depth to the fishing system, or at least adds a lot more. And adds a fishing system, first of all, so it's hard to add depth to a mechanic that doesn't exist in the base game. But having the two of them working together, I think makes it a fairly interesting prospect, fishing. And this is why I think between the two mods, there really could be potential for a secondary progression system. There's enough there to justify having like a secondary perk tree that could give you some interesting bonuses if you wanted to focus on something like fishing. The real trick was removing the fishing poles from fishing in Skyrim to make Art of the Catch, the primary methodology of fishing, primary method of fishing. But even that I'm not married to, because the obvious difference there is that fishing in Skyrim's fishing is purely passive, whereas Art of the Catch is active. And there's no reason why both of those can't exist. They would just have to be pros and cons, leaving a fish or leaving a fishing pole behind to passively catch a fish is an option and would give you the option of doing that, and you could go do other things in the meantime, but then you'd want appropriate bonuses and benefits for doing it actively as well. Or maybe just the natural kind of consequence of that is that if you are actively fishing, you can catch more fish in a shorter amount of time. Interesting stuff, right? Shadow Shane, the skills in the Elder Scrolls have been decreasing in number, but getting more and more perks. It is true. You can see that that's where they're kind of trying to shift towards. And I don't dislike the perk system in some ways, because once again, it's an abstraction of your character like gaining experience. However, those abstractions are arguably less immersive than even like Oblivion's system, where you didn't select your perks, you just received certain perks as you leveled up. I would say that is arguably more immersive than Skyrim's system, where you get to select your perks, because it's all arbitrary, right? Like when I get to a certain level of computer knowledge, I don't suddenly unlock the ability to like know something that I didn't a moment ago, which I guess would be an approximation. But it depends on how you look at it. I don't know. With the perks, really what you get is that fun element of player interaction with how your character is progressing. And I think that's what they're going for. I think they want players to feel like their characters are personal and that their character differs from other characters. Ironically, in Skyrim, vanilla Skyrim that is, almost every character ends up exactly the same, but Bethesda does a good job of providing the illusion of unique character progression, I would say. And that is a design philosophy that I personally try to carry through into Ultimate Skyrim, and that Requiem, I think, really hammers home, is actual character specialization and personalized progression. And perks are decent for that, I would say. It's definitely more of a gameplay mechanic. The perk implementation in the latest game are just Bethesda at their worst. They add in a system that in theory lets you make real character building choices and weird effects, and then make almost all of them boring but mandatory numbers. That's what I'm saying. What level speech? I'm not aware, Mad Villain. But it's I don't know. It's tricky. Because like in games like Fallout, right? Perks have always been like a core part of the system. And I would argue that those are really a lot of fun. I guess it just once again comes down to that suspension of disbelief. You setting a respawn point. No, that didn't level speech, Mad Villain. What that was is sleep to gain experience. So because I slept, that got me all the experience that I had not yet cashed in on from our latest adventures. This beautiful morning. Really good sweeping job there, Delphine. You're really totally not alluding to the fact that you are anything but an innkeeper. Come on, you got it. You're probably why that's happening. Look at this. Oh no, she's like okay. But I bet you because, what is she? Is she a Nord or is she an Imperial? I think she might be a Nord actually. Can't remember offhand. But the animations, changing the meshes on the character sizes messes with animations. What if you only get a perk point from training? I'm not quite sure what you mean, Donju. Also, we are running right up against the clock here, my friends. Oh, she's a Breton. Gotcha, thank you, Sacroletius. I can't remember if Bretons are taller or shorter with racial body morphs or what the deal is. But sometimes it can make animations slightly odd. Also, the animations a lot of the time are just slightly odd anyway, so hard to tell what's modded and what's not. So I'm going to have to leave you guys at this point. I really appreciate you stopping by for the streams. You know I love them and that they are tons of fun. And I will be here again next week. Yes, there's nothing that should disrupt that. I would like to, at some point, do some streams on the weekend. The problem is my weekend schedules are always really hard to account for. And I can't guarantee that I'll be here the way that I can with weekday streams and with the Monday stream. But hopefully, for anyone watching after the fact on the VOD, it's not impossible for you guys to attend a stream. I appreciate you guys, everyone who's here right now, for joining me. I really do enjoy it. Do you know how Spell Sword works with Conjuration perks? Does the added spell to it count as an enchantment? So yes, technically, Mad Villain, the spell swords do have enchantments. It's just like an integrated spell, so it is still technically an enchantment, and it requires charge in order to function, but the spell itself is considerably cheaper to cast. And even there, the enchantment cost is just like my kind of initial pass at the balance. It may well be that I think it's kind of cool in that way, because it gives you an interesting cost evaluation. Since it still requires an additional resource, I think it kind of balances out. Getting to cast spells for half their cost and free of armor penalties is a huge, huge advantage. So I think it's appropriate to temper it a little bit with the enchanting requirement as well. And also incentivizes enchanting too, because that is a pretty cool spell or skill tree that doesn't get enough attention. Also, my god, what a beautiful scene to leave you guys on, right? So you didn't mean to say perks, meant spells. Conjuration spells, does the added spell to it count as an enchantment? Well, hopefully that still answers your question. maybe you can always hit me up after the fact if that did not answer your question, and I can help you out if I'm misunderstanding what you're asking. And I think I'm going to leave you guys on this beautiful scene here. So thank you very much, as always, for joining me. I really do appreciate it. You can always, of course, message me on YouTube or on Reddit or on Discord. You know I'm around, and I will get to it ASAP. Typically what I do after these Monday streams anyway is get to any comments and questions that I have from the weekend and from the dev updates. So I will be around. You guys are very welcome for the stream. Thank you for joining me, as always, and I'll see you in the next one.